Well, hi, folks. I'm Chris Dorr. I'm the director here for Ohio Gun Owners. And in this short video, I'm going to talk about the two candidates who are running to be your next state representative from right there in House District 45. I'm going to talk about Democrat Landon Meador. I think that's how you pronounce his last name. He's the Democrat. He's trying to take out Republican incumbent Jennifer Gross. I'm going to give her a little eye right there next to us so you can see that she's the incumbent. She's running for re-election. I'm going to break down where both of these candidates are on your gun rights. So if you're pro-gun, pro-Second Amendment, pro-freedom, pro-America, you're going to want to watch this video. I'm going to first talk about Landon Meador, and then we'll talk about Jennifer. She's got a great record. I'll just spoil it for you right there if you guys need to get going. But I'm going to talk about Landon and what his vision for Ohio District 45 is. Then we'll talk about the fabulous Jennifer Gross. First and foremost, I'm going to switch my color here on my tablet to red, because I got some bad things I need to tell you about Landon Meador. I'm going to give him a circle there. He supports universal gun registration. This allows the state to track, trace, and register gun owners like sex offenders, essentially. And what he wants to pass doesn't even apply to criminals. Criminals don't line up and register their guns or their knives with the state. They didn't. Oh yeah, I was going to use this gun to shoot so and so, and this knife I was going to stab Susie. No, they don't do that. He wants to register law-abiding citizens, and the reason why is simple. Joe Biden says it. Kamala Harris says it. Beto O'Rourke was very famous back in the day when the Democrats used to hold primaries in order to select their Democrat nominee for president. He stood. Now they just depose sitting presidents, but he stood there on the national debate stage and said, "Hell yes, we're going to take away your guns." Joe Biden says, "Ban them, ban assault weapons." Kamala Harris says, "Let's pass mandatory gun buybacks." That's gun confiscation, folks. And gun confiscation is based on the foundation of knowing who owns what guns. And that's what Landon Meador wants to do with gun registration. They need to know who owns what guns and where. So that's a big fat no. He supports red flag gun confiscation. This is nasty legislation. It's the total destruction of due process rights for gun owners. It allows somebody to petition a judge to have your firearms taken away from you without you ever being charged, tried, or convicted of a crime. In fact, some of the legislation that's going around that Landon here supports, it says that you can enter as evidence to the judge that the recent acquisition of a firearm that can be used as probable cause to take that firearm away. Literally, Landon Meador wants it so that if you exercise your rights, that's justifiable cause to take those rights away. That's insane, but that's what Landon Meador wants here. He supports mandatory gun lockup laws. Oh, I forgot to give him the X there. Let's give him another X here. Mandatory gun lockup laws. His leader, Kamala Harris, Landon Meador's leader, Kamala Harris. We saw the video. It just came out of her a couple days ago, where she said that the purpose of these mandatory gun lockup laws, they call them safe storage laws. The purpose of these mandatory gun lockup laws is so that it gives state actors the ability to invade the sanctity of your home. That's Kamala Harris's words, not mine. And do government gun inspections. And we look back on Landon Meador's social media records. We can't find any statement of opposition to where the United States government improperly stored firearms when they left $8 billion worth of real weapons of war on the streets of Afghanistan. Now those firearms and machine guns and tanks and jeeps and Apache helicopters, all that kind of stuff, that's all being used against the Afghan citizens by the Taliban terrorists. So Landon Meador didn't say anything about how that was a bad thing. He never criticized Operation Fast and Furious when Eric Holder was selling guns. The Attorney General's office was selling guns to the Mexican drug cartels that were then used against American citizens and Border Patrol agents. Landon Meador didn't have anything to say against those kinds of things. Unbelievable. But that's what he wants to pass. He wants state agents to be able to come into your home and do government gun inspections in total violation of your constitutionally protected right to remain secure in your person from unreasonable searches and seizures. So unbelievable. He needs to go read his Constitution. He wants to repeal Ohio's constitutional carry law. This is a non-controversial, common sense gun rights bill law that's on the books. It simply says it gets government out of the rights regulation business. If you're a law-abiding, peaceful citizen, you can carry a firearm to defend yourself, your loved one, your kids, your family, without begging the government. It's on the books in 29 different states, but Landon Meador here wants to repeal it. Unbelievable. He wants to repeal Ohio self-defense laws. He wants to make it so that if you're ever, God forbid, in that situation where you're forced to act in self-defense against a killer, a rapist, a kidnapper, a violent criminal of some kind, that he wants to make it so that you have to prove to the judge or a jury that you tried to take enough steps backwards and retreat from the situation before you're allowed to take action to defend yourself. Now, that's absolutely stupid. Honestly, it's a really stupid thing for Landon here to support. But pretend you're a mom. Maybe you're a mom. Imagine if you're in the situation where you have your kids with you, and all of a sudden you're thrust into this situation where you have to try to defend yourself or your kids. In that very moment, if you're thinking about the judge or the jury and proving to them that you reach that millisecond pause right there, can mean the total difference between life and death for you or your kids. And for Landon Meador here, I don't know if he has kids or not. I mean, honestly, but for him to want to do this, if I could put 10 X's around this thing and say it's probably the dumbest thing that he could possibly support, that's Landon Meador for you. He also supports banning AR-15s, but I've seen some of the legislation that he wants that his party wants to pass in Columbus. They want to ban not just AR-15s, they want to ban Ruger 1022s, Marlin Model 60s, Remington 1187 shotguns, Glock 43Xs, what a lot of women carry, a lot of men carry to defend their families with. Landon Meador here wants to ban them. And it's ridiculous because when you think about it, the Second Amendment wasn't written to make sure people could deer hunt. It was written by people who had just defeated the world's most tyrannical and biggest government. And our founding fathers were great historians too. They could look back in history and realize that governments become tyrannical if given the opportunity. And they codified the Second Amendment in the Bill of Rights so that it was a long-term deterrent against governments becoming tyrannical. And anybody who's lived through the last 4 years has realized that government will grab power at rates that we cannot sustain if they're given the opportunity. So that's what the Second Amendment is all about. Individual firearms are a great deterrent against tyranny. But Landon Meador wants to ban them. It's like, what kind of a world do you live in, Landon? Awful stuff. Let's go and talk about something more pleasant here. Let's talk about Jennifer Gross. Jennifer Gross, this fabulous American right here. Jennifer Gross, okay, we'll talk about her record in just a minute, but we issued her a candidate survey too, and she scored 100% on her survey. We love it when even a good legislator promises again that if you reelect me, I'm going to continue to do X. We love that because some legislators like, I don't need to do that anymore. I think I've proven myself and blah blah. No, some politicians can go bad. That's why we even survey the good ones. And Jennifer Gross, this lady right here, she filled it out 100% pro-gun. She's a no on universal gun registration, a no on red flag gun confiscation. She'll be leading the fight, by the way, not just sitting there like a deaf mute in her chair. No on AR-15 bans. She's a yes, by the way, on this fabulous piece of legislation, the Second Amendment Preservation Act. In fact, she was almost the bill sponsor on this. The Second Amendment Preservation Act is a beautiful piece of pro-gun legislation. It's probably the most important pro-gun legislation ever introduced in Ohio. And this is why. It says that Ohio cops can't be used to enforce federal gun control laws. All right. That's a huge protection for gun owners because what usually happens if Joe Biden or Kamala Harris would get a major gun control bill passed and they wanted enforcement in Ohio, they would have to use federal agents to do joint task forces and basically commandeer Ohio cops to go out and enforce that stuff. Jennifer Gross wants to pass SEPA, and SEPA is like, no way. These are Ohio cops, which Ohio taxpayers pay for to uphold Ohio laws. We're not doing that crap. That's fantastic. If you're sitting there asking yourself, my goodness, what can we do against this federal gun control? Jennifer Gross has the answer right here. SEPA. It's a beautiful piece of pro-gun legislation that we're going to get passed. She's also a yes on stand your ground law and constitutional carry. I want to make something very clear here. Jennifer Gross is one of only 2 legislators in the entire Ohio General Assembly to have a perfect voting score on constitutional carry. She's got the most pro-gun voting record of anybody currently in the Ohio General Assembly. She's the best, bar none, of the entire Ohio General Assembly when it comes to voting for your gun rights. And here's why. When constitutional carry was going through the Ohio House, she voted for it in its best form. It got sent over to the Senate. It came back. There were some adjustments made to it where there was some of the meat and potatoes, the concealed weapons license transition language that was stripped out of the bill. And on final passage, she voted no on it because she was angry that they had watered the bill down. Nobody else except for one other person, I think, Tom Brinkman. He's no longer in the legislature. He got term limited out. She's the only one who had the guts to sit there and cast that vote, folks. I have never seen anything like it. And I've been around the block when it comes to gun rights politics. So I'm going to give her, you're going to watch this. I'm going to give Jennifer Gross an A+ rating. There's nobody else that we have given that rating to in the 2024 Ohio election cycle. She is the best, bar none, in the entire Ohio House of Representatives and the entire Ohio General Assembly. So, folks, that's Jennifer Gross. I'm proud to know her. She's a great American, and she's got the record to back it up. She's as principled as they come. And if you guys decide to go with Jennifer Gross, you can know exactly where she's going to be on your Second Amendment, folks. A lot of people ask me, they say, Chris, how should I vote? Should I vote for Jennifer Gross or this Landon dude? I can't tell you what to do. This is the facts. These are where these two candidates are. The choice is up to you. I'd say a couple things. If you see Jennifer Gross out on the campaign trail, this lady right here, if you see her, I'll point an arrow at her. If you see that lady, walk right up to her and thank her for being such a courageous bulwark for our Second Amendment freedoms. All right? They don't make a lot of them like Jennifer Gross. So if you see her, thank her for everything that she's done for the Second Amendment. If you see, I'm going to change my color back here. If you see this guy, tell him that this stuff all along here, that stuff, if you want to, this is Ohio, the land of the free and the home of the brave. You might go over to those sissy Brits in England and try to pass this kind of tyranny. Or maybe you could go to 1940, you get a time traveler, go back to 1940s Germany, Italy, Japan. But this kind of stuff just doesn't go around here. And he needs to know it. I don't know. Some of these people, I don't know where they drag them up from. But Landon here and his gun control agenda, the agenda of his party, I just can't figure out where they think that stuff is going to end. Because again, in the 20th century alone, governments murdered a minimum of 100 million innocent citizens worldwide through genocide. They did that because the people in those countries could not defend themselves against tyranny. All right? We're not ever going to let it get to that. That's what the Second Amendment is all about. So, folks, last but not least, I'd ask, please share this video with all of your pro-gun friends, family, loved ones, co-workers, neighbors, church family members, your barber, your local grocer. I mean, whoever you know that is pro-gun. There's a lot on the line in these elections, and who we pick to represent us at the State House in Columbus has never been more important. So round up all those friends, and on November 5th, head down to your local polls and vote pro-gun.